Morning or afternoon, everyone. Happy last week in October. I'm going to quickly walk through what we are going to work on in class this week. And if I am not here during the first or ninth period class on Monday or Tuesday, this is going to be my introduction for the week, for the day. And so you know what the expectation is in social studies today. So we're going to start on Schoology. And for today, I'm going to open up my daily agenda button. Click out on my other one, and you can see that this is Monday and Tuesday, the 26th and 27th. Your at-home work this week, I have another playlist that will be posted on Monday a little bit after 11:30 with some videos attached where I'll tell you how to complete that assignment. It's a little bit different than the two playlists that we've already had, but that is an update. That is your asynchronous work, and it's due the following week. So it's due next week, and I might give you a little extra time this week because it's a little bit longer. Our targets. I still want you to be able to explain the development of regional identities among early British colonies, and we're going to really get into that with our asynchronous work this week. But I told you we're going to take that little detour this week before the general election next week. And I want you to understand the qualifications and responsibilities of the President of the United States and the current policy differences among the three candidates for President of the United States this year. The first thing I need you to do, especially if I'm not there, I'll probably take a pause here after I tell you about this, but I need you to fill out this student council form for student council this year. If you are interested in running for student council, just submit this form and we will get you some more information. So if you're interested in running for student council, fill this out. Remember, you can find this on my daily agenda link on Schoology. Will take you to this link that's embedded here. So if you're interested in running for student council, I know we haven't gotten that up and running yet, click that link. All right, guys, what is the Electoral College? You've probably heard this before. We're going to watch a quick TED Ed video. I'll get into some more analysis probably in our second lesson of the week, but I do just want to play this for you before you fill out your assignment for the week.
Most people have heard of the Electoral College during presidential election years. But what exactly is the Electoral College? Simply said, it is a group of people appointed by each state who formally elect the President and Vice President of the United States. To understand how this process began and how it continues today, we can look at the Constitution of the United States. Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2 of the Constitution. It specifies how many electors each state is entitled to have. Since 1964, there have been 538 electors in each presidential election. How did they decide on the number 538? Well, the number of electors is equal to the total voting membership of the United States Congress, 435 representatives plus 100 senators and 3 electors from the District of Columbia. Essentially, the Democratic candidate and Republican candidate are each trying to add up the electors in every state so that they surpass 270 electoral votes, or just over half of 538 votes, and win the presidency. So how do states even get electoral votes? Each state receives a particular number of electors based on population size. The census is conducted every 10 years, so every time the census happens, states might gain or lose a few electoral votes. Let's say you're a voter in California, a state with 55 electoral votes. If your candidate wins in California, they get all 55 of the state's electoral votes. If your candidate loses, they get none. This is why many presidential candidates want to win states like Texas, Florida, and New York. If you currently add up the electoral votes of those 3 states, you would have 96 electoral votes. Even if a candidate won North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and West Virginia, they would only gain 31 electoral votes total from those 8 states. Here's where it can get a little tricky. On a rare occasion, like in the year 2000, someone can win the popular vote but fail to gain 270 electoral votes.
Just a quick note, that also happened in 2016.
This means that the winner may have won and collected their electoral votes by small margins, winning just enough states with just enough electoral votes, but the losing candidate may have captured large voter margins in the remaining states. If this is the case, the very large margins secured by the losing candidate in the other states would add up to over 50% of the ballots cast nationally. Therefore, the losing candidate may have gained more than 50% of the ballots cast by voters, but failed to gain 270 of the electoral votes. Some critics of the Electoral College argue the system gives an unfair advantage to states with large numbers of electoral votes. Think of it this way. It is possible for a candidate to not get a single person's vote, not one vote, in 39 states or the District of Columbia, yet be elected president by winning the popular vote in just 11 of these 12 states: California, New York, Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, New Jersey, North Carolina, Georgia, or Virginia. This is why both parties pay attention to these states. However, others argue that the Electoral College protects small states such as Rhode Island, Vermont, and New Hampshire, and even geographically large states with small populations, like Alaska, Wyoming, and the Dakotas. That's because a candidate can't completely ignore small states, because in a close election, every electoral vote counts. There are certain states that have a long history of voting for a particular party. These are known as safe states. For the past 4 election cycles, in 1996, 2000, 2004, and 2008, Democrats could count on states like Oregon, Maryland, Michigan, and Massachusetts.
Another quick note, that also changed in 2016 when Michigan voted for a Republican for president.
Whereas the Republicans could count on states like Mississippi, Alabama, Kansas, and Idaho. States that are teetering between parties are called swing states. In the past 4 election cycles, Ohio and Florida have been swing states, twice providing electoral votes for a Democratic candidate and twice providing electoral votes for a Republican candidate. Think about it. Do you live in a safe state? If so, is it a Democratic or Republican safe state? Do you live in a swing state? Are your neighboring states swing or safe? Is the population in your state increasing or decreasing? And do not forget, when you're watching the electoral returns on election night every 4 years and the big map of the United States is on the screen, know that the magic number is 270 and start adding.
Okay, so if this process was like, if you were interested in that process, if it made you curious, take a look at my map in my back of the classroom on the blackboard. It says Understanding the U.S. Population. It's pretty cool if you look at that, because it talks about population details for the United States. And it also shows the electoral value for each state in the union. So right now, Ohio has 18 electors. That's a pretty decent amount. So candidates will spend a lot of time in Ohio based on winning those 18 electoral college votes in a winner-take-all system. We will talk more about the Electoral College, guys, when we start studying the Constitution, but I did want to just give you a little preview. If we go back to our daily agenda, I have a link, and you can check out this link if you'd like. We have not studied the Constitution yet. We are not there in 8th grade social studies yet. But this is the section of the Constitution that discusses electing an executive, a president. And you'd be surprised if you read through this what the Constitution actually doesn't say about electing a president, and how it leaves a lot of the details up to legislatures. Okay. What am I actually asking you to do today? So on Schoology, if you scroll down, I just want you to open up general election, and I want you to open up this October 26th to the 4th, and I want you to open up this assignment, presidential candidate analysis. So if we open up this, all right, maybe you are totally set on who you think you would vote for if it was 4 or 5 years from now and you were voting in this election. I think I've told you this. Some of you will be voting in the very next presidential election. So if you are 14 right now, you will be voting in the 2024 presidential election. So maybe you know who you would vote for if given the opportunity. Maybe you know who your families would vote for. Maybe you know who your friends would vote for. But some of you might not have taken the time to actually look at what the candidate's platform is. A platform is like, what does this candidate actually think about the relevant issues? So we scroll down, we know that the two people who are running for president under the two largest parties in the United States. And we'll talk about the party system and stuff when we study Washington's administration and the Constitution. We have Joe Biden, who's running as a Democrat, former vice president. And we have the current president, Donald Trump, who's running as a Republican. And I have listed in the assignment details the two websites for these two candidates. Now, we haven't talked about third-party candidates as much. So here's what I'll say: this is the candidate website for a third-party candidate, Howie Hawkins and Angela Walker, and they're running as Green Party candidates. Again, we'll talk about what political parties are. It is, at this point, it's sort of statistically non-existent chance that a third-party candidate can win the presidency at least this year. But you can see their differences in their platform than the two major party candidates. So I want to show you an example of what I'm asking you to do. I want you to start here before you look at the candidate's website. Qualifications for president. What are the qualifications requirements to run for president? This is what the Constitution says. Qualifications for presidential candidates have remained the same since the year Washington accepted the presidency. As directed by the Constitution, a presidential candidate must be a natural-born citizen of the United States. That means you have to have been born within the 50 United States. You cannot have become a naturalized citizen, meaning you can't have become a citizen of the United States. You must have been a resident for at least 14 years of the United States, and you have to be 35 years of age or older. So I can't run for president just yet, but in a few years, maybe I can make a run for it. If we click here, I want you to list any questions you have about the candidates before you begin. What's important to you? What would you want to know about a candidate running for president that would be relevant or important to you? Scroll down. Then I want you to give me a summary detail. What do these three men think about, these three candidates think about various issues? Some of them you might find to be more relevant to you than others. That's the nature of being a voter. So I'm going to show you for an example on Donald Trump's website. If we want to find his platform, what he thinks about education policy, we're going to click his website, and it gives you some details. It says click on promises kept to see more information. So I'm going to click out of that. I'm going to click promises kept, X out of that. And I'm going to scroll down until I can find his education policy. And I'm going to click here. I'm going to do a little reading about what he thinks, what he and his running mate think about education policy. And I'm going to give a brief summary in that box, okay? I'd like for you to get as much of this done by the next time I see you on Wednesday, and we will continue then. All right, I've talked a long time. Thank you for your attention. Fire up your Chromebooks, head to Schoology, fill out that student council form, start working on the assignment.